Sorry guys, tadi line putus. Thank you. Jangan lupa like and share. Okay. OMG, Nisa makin. I don't know. I'm just like, yeah. I mean, berarti. Wait. I will invite Aiman Azlan. Stay tuned. So, okay. Thank you. Hi everybody. I'm so sorry because the live before this is like yeah. Tiba-tiba putus. I'm so sorry. So I made a new live. Thank you Daniel. Lawa makeup. Saya nak pause saja. Yo, what up guys? Nisa mana? So waiting for Aiman Azlan. Just words. Hi, Assalamualaikum Aiman Azlan.
Waalaikumsalam, apa khabar?
Khabar baik, Alhamdulillah.
Sorry lambat
Tak apa. Kita dah mula sekarang.
Okay, bismillah, jom.
Okay, so Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I greet to our special guest Aiman Azlan, and I greet to all the viewers. So thank you for joining this live. So Alhamdulillah, I am so honored to make a live video. Like Instagram live with Aiman Azlan because Aiman Azlan is my idol since I am 14 years old. Right, I'm 20 years old. So you can guess how long I've been your fan.
Rasa tua lah pula.
Okay, so yeah. So first of all, I would like to introduce Aiman Azlan. So Aiman Azlan, a youth mentor and principal of Kindergarten Arau. So full name is Muhammad Aiman bin Azlan. So date of birth 24 September 1990. So hometown in Kubang Keriang, Kelantan, and he was raised in Kangar Perlis. So his status is already married. Yeah. Okay. So occupation public speaker since 2011 until now. Also an author, blogger, and also a vlogger. So affiliation Langit Ilahi www.langilahi.com. And
that's the old one.
Oh, that's the old one. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, lama dah tu.
I thought it was the latest. So I'm just like searching for your informations. Okay, so you want to know the backgrounds of your studies, which is you have been studied at University Taylor's University College, Subanjaya, right? In 2008 until 2009.
Betul.
Yeah. Okay, so like 2009 until 2013 in University of Toronto, Mississauga, Canada. Graduated in December 2013.
Yeah.
Am I right? Yeah, okay.
Betul.
So qualification HSBC Biology and Psychology. So yeah, we can see like Aiman Azlan is very very expert in its like psychology. Okay, so
I wouldn't use that word lah. Tapi thank you lah for calling me an expert.
Of course you are. Okay, so let's go. So the next is achievement and experience. So social media, directs, records, and edits on YouTube's videos. Average 10,000 viewers each video. Am I right? Since 2011. Since 2011, right?
Betul.
Writes on blog average 33,000 hits per month, September 2008 until now. 77 7,000 plus subscribers on blog. So 47.8k subscribers on YouTube. I'm Azlan 90 YouTube channel. So Instagram followers reach 61.8k, and Twitter's followers reach 99k. Yeah.
I don't even know.
I'm sorry? Okay, so we go to for the next, Amazon books. So, as we know, Amazon is also an author. He published Unshakable book, How to Be Confident When You Are Nervous, in 2018 with Aiman publication. Am I right?
Betul.
So the second book is How Are You? Understanding the Silent Struggle of Stress, Anxiety, and Depression, published in 2019. Also Aiman publication. So the third book is Unbreakable, How to Prepare Yourselves for a Strong Relationship, published in 2019. So this book, Unbreakable book, is for those single who are searching for love. And how do you know if you are ready to commit yourself to a relationship? So this Unbreakable book is highly suggested for the single one. Yeah. Okay, so I have taught a brief about Amazon. So next we go to our aim. So why do I make this Instagram live? What is the purpose of this topic? So, okay, my intention to make this Instagram live with Azlan, which is a famous youth mentor, is to spread positivity among students, help the students out there to feel more motivated to face these challenges. And mental health is not likely to be underestimated because it is as much important as the physical health. Thus, we need to take care of our mental health. So most of the students, especially teenagers, adolescent, age of 18 years old to 23 years old, cannot be able to adapt well with the new situation. So, okay, so Amazon, what is your opinion about this?
Well, first of all, thank you. I can tell that you are very nervous. Relax.
Okay, I'm trying to.
Don't worry. First thing, I think it's quite misleading to call 18-year-old teenagers because they're adults.
Okay.
Let me ask you this simple question. If you, as an 18-year-old, commits a crime, do you being judged as a juvenile or as an adult?
As an adult.
There you go. So this idea of having 18-year-olds thinking that they are not adult yet is a major problem because you have this mindset that, oh, I'm not adult enough. At the same time, I'm not quite a child. So who am I? So this pull between this and that creates this conflict inside. And that creates a lot of problem, obviously. So first thing first, I would like to say for those of you who are listening, if you're 18 and above, you are an adult. And that's a good thing. That's a good news. Okay? So let's say that this is the first time you've heard of this coming from somebody. Just know that this is good news. It's good news because being an adult means that you are opening up this space inside of your life for making your own choices and being responsible for your own choices. So you have to have two things hand in hand, making your own choices and being responsible for your own choices. Now, if I say making your own choices just that, people might assume that, oh, I can do whatever I want. No, you have to be responsible as well. So when you talk about mental health now, 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20-year-old, until 23, right? Those university students who cannot deal with mental health issues. Number one, if it's serious, go get help. Okay, that's the first thing I want to let it out there. If it's serious, go get help. And plus, if you're not sure if it's serious or not, get help anyway. Because you don't want to wait until it's absolutely serious for you to get help. I'll give you an example, okay? Let's say that you have a fever, right? You have a fever. What do? Okay, now normally you would try to settle that fever on your own. You buy Panadol, you take Panadol, and then you see how it goes. Now, sometimes it helps. It will make sure that the fever goes away when you take Panadol. But there are other times when it doesn't work, right? You
Yes,
take Panadol, but still the fever stays the same. In that case, what do? Do you just ignore? Do you just suppress it? Do you just say to yourself, it's okay, I can handle it? Or do you say to yourself, oh, I don't want to ask for help, it shows weakness? You don't do that. You immediately go to the doctor. You immediately go to the clinic, the hospital, because you know that this is not a typical normal fever. A typical normal fever, Panadol, settle. Mental health is the same. There are times when you have certain issues with your mind that you can handle on your own, like the normal stress or normal anxiety. That's not severe. Let's say, for example, you have an exam coming up, you feel stressed, you feel anxious. That's normal. And you can deal with it by learning new skills. They call it coping skills. That's like your Panadol lah. Lebih kurang. So that when it happens, you know how to deal with it. But then when it's become serious, Panadol is not enough. You have to go meet with professional. You have to go seek help from a counselor. If you're afraid to go to a psychiatrist, you can start with a counselor first. You can go meet a psychiatrist if you believe that it's super serious, or a psychologist. And doing that doesn't mean that you are in any way weird or deficient or any less of a human being. No, doing that means that you are a human being. Because human beings, there are times when we break down, we fall sick, we are not well. So it's super, super normal. So for those of the young people who are listening to this, like your friends, maybe even yourself, know that reaching out for help when you need to, it's okay. That's my opinion about mental health, especially with regards to young people in particular. Because I know young people in particular, I mean others as well, but young people in particular, they're so insecure about people's judgment. And I get it. It's your phase. It's your phase. It's the phase of life that you are going through right now. You want to feel belong. You want to feel like you are a part of the gang. You don't want to feel left out, right? But at the same time, although that feeling is normal and sometimes advantageous, there are times when it could harm you. For example, when you need to seek help, you don't seek help, it's gonna harm you. So just be careful about that feeling, because although it's normal as a young person to be afraid or to feel a bit insecure about what people think, just be careful not to let that be the reason that you don't get help when you need to. So that's my opinion about that.
Okay, so far as I can see, like you see, when you are feeling nervous, especially during examinations, so it's like you have to adapt with a coping skills.
Coping skills, yeah.
So yeah, coping skill is like in my own knowledge, in my own personal view, coping skills is something like everyone have their own coping skills. Like, yeah, their own coping skills. Like, for example, when this person is stressed or what, maybe the person's playing with video games, so he try to release the stress. So that is example of coping skill. Am I right?
Yes, you are right. There is one example of coping skill. Basically, coping skill is when you feel that, uneasy feeling, that negative feeling, either stress, anxiety, or, adik-beradik dia, you will do something to calm yourself down. So like you mentioned, playing video games, some people eat when they're stressed. So those are coping skills. But I have to mention, there are two types of coping skills. There are the positive ones and there are the negative ones. Both are coping skills. Both are coping skills. Both are capable of calming yourself down.
Yes. Okay.
Both are capable of calming yourself down. However, you have to be careful not to make a habit out of negative coping skill. Like for example, every time you're stressed, you eat. If you can control it, fine. But if you go to a point where you binge eat, binge, B-I-N-G-E, binge eat, makan berlebih-lebihan, when you're stressed, that could lead to harmful results. Another example would be smoking. When you're stressed or anxious, you smoke. It calms yourself down, but it's a negative coping skill. You are harming yourself further. Another coping skill would be to play video games. Now, normally it's fine, but if you spend 10 hours playing video games to calm yourself down, obviously that's not good, right? So just keep in mind that although those are all coping skills, there are negative ones and there are positive ones. Make sure that the coping skill that you have are healthy ones, the ones that are not going to harm you, the ones that are not going to basically make the matters worse in the long term, right? So there are other coping skills that are positive, like for example, talking to a friend, learning how to communicate well with your family members or your friends, or even yourself, especially yourself, because we always communicate with ourselves on a daily basis, all the time. Like when you look at yourself in the mirror, you say stuff to yourself. That's communication. And a part of coping skill is to know how to talk to yourself properly and to know how to express to others when you need to let something out of your chest. Don't keep it inside. For many people that have contacted me, they like to keep things inside. They like to just ignore the feeling, ignore the conflict, and thinking that it's going to go away. It's not. That's not how problems work. If there's a problem, ignoring the problem will not make it go away. It'll make it disappear from your eyes, yes, but the problem is still there. It's like when you want to clean your room and you have like trash everywhere, instead of throwing out the trash, the dustbin, just swipe it under the bed. Now you may be thinking the trash is not there, but it's under your bed. It's still there. It's still a problem. And when the wind blows from the window, it's gonna blow out the trash from under your bed, and there you go, the problem is still there. Similarly, when you have issues and you just suppress it down, you ignore, you don't deal with it, what's gonna happen is that yes, it may disappear from your eyes, you may think that it's gone, but there will come a day when something will trigger you and that will come out again. Because you haven't dealt with the problem. You just ignore it and basically idea of coping skill lah. And you can learn. You can learn proper coping skill. If you're in university, you can consult your university counselor. Ask the counselor, how do I learn coping skill? You can read books about it. You can Google articles, good articles, scientific articles about coping skills. And most importantly, you need to practice the coping skill. I mean, just reading it doesn't work. It just gives you the knowledge, but you have to put the knowledge into practice. So it's something that if, let's say you don't have it yet, don't feel bad about it. Just know that you can develop it slowly but surely lah. So that's the thing about coping mechanism that you mentioned.
Okay.
Is that too long of an answer? Would you like a short answer?
I think it's this perfect answer because I've been searching about what is coping skill. I mean, like, I like to make a lot of research about like mental health and coping skills, whatever. I thought coping skills is only about positive. So as you have explained before this, like there's both, which is negative and positive. So
Yep.
That's the new knowledge for me. So thank you, Sir Azlan, for sharing that knowledge. So so basically, okay, I have an answer. I'm sorry, I have a questions. So basically, coping skill is like something like we develop or it's natural in ourselves.
It's a skill. So when you say something is a skill, it's not naturally there. You have to acquire it. Of course, there are certain traits that you have at birth that may or may not help you gain certain skills. But at the end of the day, because the discussion is very long, when you talk about is it genetic, is it born that way, or is it acquired, the argument is long. If you're interested, maybe in another session we can talk about nature versus nurture. But to make things simple, when you talk about a skill, you have to learn the skill. You have to acquire the skill somehow. So it's not something that naturally is going to be there. So don't think, that guy can do it because he was born with it. No, there's no such thing as born with a coping skill. Now, maybe certain people have certain advantages that help them develop that coping skill, but don't make too much comparison between ourselves and other people, because that's going to make you feel worse in many cases when you start to compare and contrast between you and other people. Just focus on yourself. Just focus on yourself and just think, how can I improve myself from yesterday to today and from today to tomorrow? That's it. That's the only comparison that you should make. So if you don't have a certain skill today, start learning that skill and make sure that tomorrow and the days after that will become better, will enable you to become better. So just focus on that. I don't want people to think that, I don't have the skill because I wasn't born with it, therefore I am doomed. No, don't think that way. Everybody can learn the skill to a certain extent, and I believe that I believe it is something universal that people can acquire. I believe that.
Okay. So I'm agree with your opinions, and it's such a good thing to share. Okay, so as I can see, so next we go to the definitions of mental health, which is mental health refers to cognitive, behavioral, and emotional well-being. So conditions such as stress, depression, and anxiety can all affect mental health and disrupts a person routine. So this website has been, I've been make a research about this in, I don't know what's the specific website. Okay, so although the term mental health is in common use, many conditions that doctors recognize as psychological disorder have physical root. The WHO stressed that mental health is more than just the extent of mental disorder or disability. So can you explain this statement, which is WHO stressed that mental health is more than just the absence of mental disorder or disability. So what does it mean by this statement?
Okay, so from what I can understand, and it's very important for you to highlight that, what I understand. So let it be known that this is from my own reading of what WHO said. If you want to know what WHO meant, you have to ask WHO lah. So that's basically, but mental illness. I think that's what WHO is trying to say. We don't talk about mental health in the context and only in the context of mental illness. Mental illness, for example, major depressive disorder, stress disorder, anxiety disorder, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, and so on and so forth. That's one part of mental health. The other part of mental health is for those of us who don't have any mental illnesses, but we have issues. We have certain complications within our mind that we need to deal with. Like, for example, stress. Stress is not in and of itself a type of mental illness, but it's a problem, right? That we need to learn how to solve. That's why I mentioned coping skill before. Coping skill is another word that I like to use is life skill. Plain and simple. It's life skill. It's not like, oh, only certain people have to have those skills. No, if you are alive and you have a life, then you need the life skill. And among the life skills that you need to equip yourself with are stress management skill, time management skill, communication skill, negotiation skill, all those what you probably know as soft skills. They're not just there for you to do well in interviews. Don't just think of those skills as applicable for career. That's one application. Think broadly. It's a life skill. For example, effective communication skill, yes, it may help you in interview, but it will also help you when you have issues with your roommate. Or when you have issues with your spouse, or when you have issues with your parents, your siblings. Time management skill, yes, it's going to help you study. Work. So don't think of those soft skills, the skills that you learn. Health, and it's gonna prevent, if we practice it on a daily basis, it's gonna make it more unlikely. I'm not gonna say guarantee lah, because there's no guarantee, but it's gonna make it more unlikely that we will ever develop a mental illness when we have those coping skills in place and we practice it on a daily basis. So that's what I think when WHO mentioned that mental health is not just when you have mental disability or a mental illness, because that will actually limit the conversation about mental health, and that will do it basically disservice of to the whole topic and subject. So I think what WHO is mentioning is on point and something that we should keep in mind. And it's not something that you just mention when, let's say, depression comes up. No, you mention it when, let's say, for example, a student doesn't friends. So yeah, that's that. You want to open for Q&A?
Wait, San. I think your internet connection is not really effective, so I can't really hear your voice.
Oh wait, what? So my explanation, you didn't hear my explanation?
Yeah, because like, the internet connection might be poor.
Oh, is it my connection or
Your connection. Can you? Yeah.
Okay. How about right now? Can you hear me right now?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, I'm going to explain again, but shorter. Okay? And if you hear a baby screaming, don't worry. That's my son. Don't worry. Okay? He's fine. He's just, being a baby. It's okay. All right. So let me explain that one more time, but in a shorter form. So WHO mentioned that mental health is not just about mental illness or when you have a mental disability. And I think it's right, because when you don't have depression or when you don't have any type of disorder, you still have issues regarding mental health. Like you have stress, you have anxiety, you have all those things. And if you don't take care of those things, mental health, with your coping skills, then it's likely that you're going to develop a mental illness down the road. I'm not saying in terms of probability. If you don't know how to handle and deal with your life issues, then there's a chance that you're going to develop that illness. Again, not yet guarantee. I'm just speaking in probability terms. But if you have those coping skills and you practice those coping skills on a daily basis, all those soft skills that you mentioned in university, they're not just skills for academics. They're not just skills for career. They are skills for life. So you're going to use those same skills to make sure that your mental health is well preserved and well taken care of. That's basically my point lah. How's that?
Okay.
Is that okay? Can you listen to the whole thing?
Yes, sure, I can
Cool.
listen. Yes. So, as you mentioned about the, like you said, like the communication skills, like most of the people like think that, most of the people think like that communication skills is only used for interview, right? But actually, the communication skills can, we can actually communicate with our friends, communicate with our parents, communicate with our family when we are having issues with them. Isn't it the way you explain about that?
Yes. Basically, humans communicate, therefore you need communication skill. Full stop. Simple. Humans communicate, therefore you need communication skill. It's not just for interview. It's not just for presentation in class. Don't limit that skill to just very, very small percentage of your life. You will use it for the rest of your life. Trust me.
I see. Okay, so
You want to open for Q&A, Nisa?
Q&A is I think might be like 11. Not right now because I still want to explain briefly about the current issues.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
Go ahead.
okay. So the current issues, which is so like we have MCO movement control order right now because due to the virus pandemic situations in the Malaysia. So UiTM with me, I myself, a UiTM student, started the online learning on 14 April 2020. So most of us has been given assignments, online assignments, and learning through Google Meet and Zoom. So most of the university also started the online learning in April. So I've been hearing about a lot of complaint from the students, like they can't adapt with this online learning because they feel like they are having a mental health with themselves. So because usually in university, students will learn more effectively in the lecture hall or classroom because this method is this method facing the lecturer face to face. So like it is more easier than online learning. So what your thoughts about online learning? I mean, because students like feel more stressed about this online learning. They can't really adapt with these situations. So what's your thought about this?
First of all, online learning is not a new thing. Okay, we have to understand that. In the context of the whole world, online learning exists for many, many, many years already. Even in Malaysia, it already exists here in Malaysia, but it's not being widely practiced until COVID-19 pandemic happened. And then suddenly everybody start to pay attention to online learning. So don't think that this is a new phenomenon. It was there when I was in university 13 years ago. Was it 13 years ago? Wait. Let me just calculate that. Yeah. About 10, 11 years ago, when I was in university, online learning already existed. So I just want people to understand it's not a new thing. But the fact that we just prepare ourselves for it, one is a testimony of how how should I phrase it properly? It's a testimony of how we are not that well equipped yet to be on track with the current level of technology. And that you could argue that in terms of infrastructure, like the internet speed, the equipments that we have, the gadgets that we have, and so on and so forth. You can argue in that sense. You can also argue in a sense that in terms of the mindset, we're not prepared to accept this concept and idea of an online learning environment. Countries already accepted it. Now, I'm not the type of person who say that Malaysia should copy paste what other countries do. No, not at all. We have to understand our own culture. We have to understand our own readiness to be able to implement anything of value in terms of technology. Having said that, I just still want to highlight the fact that online learning is actually an old thing. It's been there for many years already. I mean, obviously 10 years ago when I was in university, it's so much different now. But right now, it's much more advanced than when I was in university. So even right now, before the COVID-19 pandemic happened, I already engaged myself in online learning by myself. If I want to learn something about like video editing, or I want to learn something about psychology or something about, I go through the online media to learn about those things. How do I learn about photography? How do I learn about videography? How do I learn how to conduct a business? All those things I learned from online resources. So online learning existed. Now that's the first thing. Okay, remember that. The second thing is, if you're unable to adapt, don't be too hard on yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself, because you have to understand our capabilities are different. Okay, somebody somewhere already started online learning for a long time. Obviously, they're gonna be more. Okay, but if this is like literally your first time with online learning, then you have to understand. Obviously, the change is gonna be quite sudden and quite huge. It's like a tsunami happening to you. So understand that what you're feeling is normal. What you're feeling is valid. What you're feeling is totally called for. Okay, so don't be too hard on yourself. That's the second point. The third point is, this is what I meant when I say coping skills. When things like this happen, we need to be able to adapt as fast as possible, according to our own capabilities lah. When I say as fast as possible, I don't mean as fast as your neighbor. No, we don't compare ourselves with other people. As fast as possible according to your own capability. But you need to adapt. That's the point. You need to adapt fast according to your capability. What does it mean? It means that now you have online learning. You have to be flexible enough to change your study habits. Because obviously your previous study habits may or may not work right now. So you have to know how to change. And you have to be flexible enough to change your time management skill. Before, you have a certain set of routine and you're comfortable with it. And now you have COVID-19, you have to adapt. You have to change. To calm yourself throughout. You're able to calm yourself down throughout this whole process. So this is what I mentioned when I say coping skills. You should already have it, but if you haven't have any coping skill yet, it's not too late to learn. But understand that you have to be in a competition with yourself and only yourself. I know when you mentioned that students are struggling with online learning, I know because students have already emailed me about it. Students have already DM'd me about it. So I know it's happening. But I tell them, and I tell you, and I tell everybody who's listening, you only compete with yourself. Don't look at your friend and thinking, oh, she can do it, or I can't do it, therefore I'm screwed. I'm such a loser. No. Just work on your own pace. Yes, maybe you're going to be slower than your friends. That's one fact that we need to be okay with. If you're slower than your friends, then you need to be able to understand that, accept it, and know how to compensate. You have to communicate that with your lecturer. Tell your lecturer, I'm not used to online learning. I'm sorry. I'm trying my best. I really am. But you need to help me. Have a good communication with your lecturer. And trust me, even your lecturer is having struggles adapting.
Yes,
I know that because my wife is a lecturer, and she's trying to adapt as well. So it's something that we all experience. So don't think that you're alone, thinking that, oh, I'm the only one who's slow. No, you're not the only one. You're among millions who are also struggling. And just remember those 3 points. Number one, it's an old technology. When I say old, I mean like it's been there for a few years lah. Dah banyak tahun dah ada. So we need to really keeping up with the technology, because when things like this happen, we'll be better prepared to face these things. And personally, I think we all should invest more in this technology because of what we see right now, what could happen, right? When the system suddenly breaks down and you can't meet face to face, what do? So having an online learning infrastructure ready is advantageous for not just for a pandemic, for whenever we have any type of disaster that could cripple the system, be it temporarily, we were able to move the education steadily, even though it's not. School here in Malaysia. Can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
I think
Can you hear me?
your connection is not stable, so I can't really hear you before this.
Which part you can't hear me? I apologize to everybody about this internet connection thing. Usually when I do live at this moment in time, it's okay. But sometimes, sometimes it breaks apart. But that's my fault. I'm sorry for causing trouble. But which part did I miss? Did I miss you?
They invest more on this technology. What do you mean by that?
Oh yeah, I mean like everybody from the top down, from the bottom up, everybody, not just the government, not just the school, the university, everybody, including ourselves, individuals, we need to invest and be better at this online learning stuff. And right now, we see that people are starting to invest, which is okay, better late than never. And we're seeing that we're moving in that direction, but hopefully, even though that we're moving in that direction, hopefully in terms of infrastructure, when I say infrastructure, I mean internet connection, for example, or like what we're experiencing tonight, not good internet connection. So the internet connection and also the availability of that technology to the majority of the students that we have, we need to make sure that is moving in line with our effort to be more online in our learning. So yeah, that's basically the gist of what I was trying to say.
I see. So for the invest, did you mean by investing money or investing what? Like specifically?
The term investment is used generally. So when I say invest in that technology, it means yes, money, but don't think in that one limited sense only. We also invest our attention, we invest our energy, we invest our time. When I say invest, it means you spend on that direction, in the hopes that it's going to bear fruits in the future. Basically, your investment will have return on investment later on. So that's why I mean when I use the term investment lah.
Oh, I see. So what you mean by term of investment? Okay, so we can open up to Q&A session.
Yep. Go ahead. Yeah, let's do Q&A. Q&A. Q&A.
Wait, I haven't received any of the questions. So, okay. So, guys, you can ask anything about mental health or about something like to make it by yourself. So, anything right now. So, just ask right now, okay?
Nisa, if I may ask, the audience that we have tonight is generally from UITM?
Mostly, yeah, because I've been, distributing the poster to my UITM friend. So, yeah, maybe like
Got it.
they also share the poster at the other UCT. So,
Good, cool.
how to overcome, how to have self-control. Wait. Okay, so here's the questions from my friends. Okay, wait. I can't see. Okay. What is your opinion on imaginary friends?
Imaginary friends?
Yeah.
Well, perhaps that question needs a little bit more context. If you are referring to literally seeing somebody who is not there, like ask that you seek help from a professional, because that's called hallucination. Okay, that's called hallucination.
Okay.
But if that's not what you meant, if you just mentioned that in the sense that you're just talking to yourself, right? Just sometimes you have a dialogue with yourself and things like that. I think that's normal. That could be one of your coping skills, to talk to yourself, be it out loud. But I would advise that you try to make sure that that doesn't come off as something weird to other people, because you have to make sure that basically your behavior doesn't affect your relationship with other people. But that question needs more context. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by imaginary friends. If, let's say, for example, again, if you literally see somebody who's not there, nobody else can see, that's called hallucination. It's not something light. It's not a joke. Please seek professional help. Go to psychiatrist, psychologist, or if you can't find either one, you can try a counselor to begin exploring your issue, basically. So that's that.
I see. Okay, so for the next questions, how to overcome the laziness?
Laziness. First of all, you have to be aware of your own laziness. Meaning, some people they don't admit that they're lazy. They are lazy. Everybody else can see that, but they don't admit it to themselves. So if you don't help yourself, then nobody else can help you. So first, self-awareness, number one. Number two, just to make things simple for everybody, I think the best way to overcome laziness is to remove all excuses. just remove all excuses. Just focus on your main motivation and just do the things that you need to do. Stop making excuses saying that later lah, no. Just do the things that you're supposed to be doing. And last thing I would like to say about laziness is try to investigate your purpose, your semangat, your, what do you call it?
Willing. Motivation.
Basically your motivation. Investigate your motivation. Investigate your passion, basically. Because when you have motivation, when you have passion, it is unlikely that you're going to be lazy. When you have motivation, when you have passion. If you don't have any of those things, then that's maybe the first, that could be the first place that you should start lah. Start with your motivation and your passion, and then go from there.
Okay, I see. So for audience, is that, I don't know if you guys. Okay, so the next question is how to have self-control.
Practice. Okay, let me explain. First, you need to be self-aware. Self-awareness is key, meaning you have to know what are you thinking, what are you feeling at any given moment. Be self-aware. And number two, you have to know how to self-regulate. So self-awareness is number one. Number two is self-regulation. Meaning you have to know, okay, when you feel angry, for example, how do you manage it in such a way that you're able to calm yourself down? So it's unlikely that you're going to get out of control in that sense. So self-awareness, self-regulation. So those two things lah. You can Google it if you're interested. Self-awareness and self-regulation, and try to find good studies lah about self-awareness and self-regulation. That will be my recommendation lah.
Okay. So basically self-awareness is the first one. If we want to have a self-control. Am I right?
Self-awareness, number one. Number two, self-regulation.
Okay. So for the next question is how to combat self-sabotage. Self-sabotage.
Okay. How to combat self-sabotage?
Yeah.
Okay. Number one, everything happens for a reason. So you sabotaging yourself must have a reason. Whether you realize it or not, there must be a reason. Maybe something happened in the past. Maybe something is happening recently. Maybe something happened and then you suppress it so you don't quite remember it. So I would advise, if you have this issue, go consult with a counselor and get proper counseling. And I know right now it's difficult to do that, but there are options to have online counseling. So what counseling does is basically explore your issue. A counselor doesn't give advice, okay? Just keep that in mind. A counselor does not give advice. A counselor doesn't tell you what to do. A counselor simply listens to what you're saying, process the issues that you share with the counselor, and then present it to you, and then you have to decide what to do next. A counselor cannot decide it for you. So that's why I like the idea of counseling, even though realistically speaking, not all counselors are good at their job, but that's true for any profession lah. Not all teachers are good at their job, not all doctors are good at their job. But don't lose hope in counseling just because you met one or two counselors that don't do their job well. There are good counselors out there, so I would suggest counseling lah for this person who is self-sabotaging.
Okay. So that's very good point from you. So okay, the next question is how can we help people with mental illness better during this difficult time?
Listening. That's always appropriate in all situations. Meaning that if let's say that you are out of idea what to do, how to help, just listen. Just listen and listen well. Listen without judgment, listen without expectation, just listen. And be honest. If you literally don't know what to do, just say to your friend or to whoever, hey, I am willing to listen to your issues and problems, but I have to be honest, I don't know how to help you. I don't know what advice to give to you, but I can listen. I'm available. You can share with me your issues. I can listen. That's number one. Number two, can you hear me?
Sorry, can you repeat again?
Yeah. Okay. The first thing I mentioned is about listening, right? You got that part? Did you catch the explanation about listening, or was that all like cut off?
Yeah, the listening, I was totally get it.
Okay, good. The second part, okay, after listening, and then the second part after listening is if you don't know how to help, you have to know how to get help for that person. So, for example, I can't help you, but I know who can. There's this counselor, there's this counseling center, there's this hospital, psychiatrist, this office, that clinic, or whatever. So, number one, listen. It's okay. Everybody can listen. Everybody can learn how to listen better. It's not you don't have to have like a degree qualification to listen, but you have to understand you are not capable of helping that person professionally. So you have to know who are the professionals who can help, and try to connect that person with a professional. That's how you help them.
Okay.
Nisa.
Yes.
IG Live has a limit of 1
it, sir?
hour, and then it will like yeah. IG Live has a limit of 1 hour,
Oh yeah, okay.
and it will like cut you off automatically. So when you see a timer coming up on your screen, I think that's like cue for you to end the session. Otherwise, when IG Live get cut off, it happened to me a lot lah. So you cannot save the whole session.
Okay.
So just keep that in mind lah, because I think that we're nearing 1 hour mark, right?
Yeah. Hearing.
Okay, that's okay. We continue. Any other question? Yeah.
Yeah, wait. I'm sorry. Okay, so questions. Just being sorry. How to have a better time management during quarantine?
Better time management during quarantine. Actually, time management skill is applicable in all times, not just during quarantine. So if you have the skill, then you'll be able to apply that skill in all situations. So regardless of quarantine or no quarantine, you need to learn time management skill for all situations. Anyway, how to have better time management skill during quarantine? Well, you can learn. There are classes. You can do that. Secondly, I would advise the basic of time management would be schedule. Have a schedule. To-do list. Have a to-do list. And 3, have a focus. Right? Have a focus. Like on that day, what do you want to do? So you have a focus. And that's like the basic of time management. I actually share, so you can try that. Did you catch that? Did you catch that part?
Yes. Like basically, we need to have our own schedule.
Yeah, schedule and to-do list. If you think that they don't work, anything else, scheduling and to-do listing differently.
Yeah. So, let's just pick a random questions, which is, how to stay concentrated in class.
How to what?
How to stay. I'm sorry that we might have been reached 1 hour because I couldn't find. So we go to the second part, which is the closing part.
Hello.
Hello, I'm so sorry, Sir Mazhar, because I didn't know that we have already reached the 1 hour time.
Yeah, you didn't see the timer coming up?
Yeah, the timer didn't appear.
That's weird. Usually there's a timer lah yang kata like 1 minute left and you have to exit beforehand. That's okay. That's okay.
Sorry.
Live and learn. It's okay. I think we can wrap it up good.
All right. Okay. So which is the what is it? Okay, how to stay concentrated during class.
How to stay concentrated during class. Number one, you have to be interested in the class. If you
Okay.
hate the class, it's gonna be difficult for you to concentrate. That's my experience lah. In my university days, I love the class that I took. So it's not hard for me to concentrate, like even though the lecture is 3 hours long, because I had like 3 hour long lectures. It's because I'm so interested in the topic and in the subject. It's not difficult for me to be focused in that class. So you have to be interested in the class, number one.
Okay.
And number two, rest. You need rest. If you're not well rested, even if you're interested in the class, you cannot concentrate. So you need rest. Okay.
True.
You need rest. And lastly, note-taking skills. You need to have your own note-taking skills. Note-taking system, basically. Either you want to write it on a notepad or on your gadget, whatever it may be. You need to have a system where you go there and you write notes. Don't go there and just listen. It's gonna be quite taxing for your brain lah if you just go there and listen. And lastly, if you want to concentrate more, you have to have like this kind of like how do I don't know what it's called, but basically there's this habit that you have to make sure that you keep concentrating during the class. Like for example, maybe you have to stretch once in a while. Maybe you have to fidget your leg ke apa ke. Maybe you have to hold something in your hand to make sure that you keep on concentrating ke. To each his own, right? To each her own. So know what is it that will help you concentrate, and then just use it to your advantage lah.
Okay. So I agree with your points, which is the fourth point that you mentioned is the rest well, listen, and habit. Right, yeah. Okay, so okay, this is one question for me. I mean, it's like my
Last question.
like from myself.
Okay.
Okay, so sir, do you think mental health okay, do you think the person who get mental health is because they are lack of iman in their in their spirit? I mean, like, yeah, because like,
Yeah, I get the question. So let me answer the question with a question. Can I do that?
question with a question. Okay, sure.
Okay. So the question is, somebody who has mental health issue, does that mean that they have low iman? That's the question, right?
Okay, huh?
Okay, let me ask you another question and you tell me if it makes sense. Somebody who has diabetes has low iman.
Doesn't make sense at all.
Okay, that's exactly the same kind of question that you just asked.
So basically, are you saying that diabetes is just the same as mental health?
Yep.
Is that your point?
Yes.
Okay, so like
Because if you look at the science of mental health, it's the same as physical health. So physical health, let's say for example diabetes. What caused diabetes? two factors: genetics and environment. Correct?
Okay.
Like, for example, if your father has diabetes, there's a higher chance that you have diabetes. So that's genetic. And if you eat a lot of sugar, it's higher chance you're going to get diabetes. That's environment. So you get my point?
Okay. I got it.
Okay. Depression or any other mental illness, majority of the mental illness has the same kind of how do I call it? Factors that cause it. Depression, for example, there is a genetic component to depression. So if your mother or your father had depression, there's a higher chance that you're going to get depression. All of this is probability. It's not guarantee. So that's why I say higher chance, probability. Also, environment-wise, the environment that you live in and also the mental practice that you practice every day, your thoughts and your thought pattern, the environment, is also going to lead you to more likely develop mental illness such as depression. So yes, mental illness is just like physical illness. And you wouldn't call somebody who has diabetes low Iman. So why would you call somebody with depression has low Iman? It doesn't make sense. Because we're talking about illness and illness. We're not talking about dia mengada-ngada. We're not talking about like sadness or like just frustrated about life and things like that. Those things are normal and you need to be able to handle it. But we're talking about an illness. Sometimes there's chemical imbalance inside of your body that could cause it to happen. So we're talking about like a serious illness. So we don't say to somebody who's ill that he or she has low Iman. Now, I'm not suggesting that Iman doesn't have a role. No, obviously faith has a role. Faith does have a role. But you have to understand, when you're sick, mentally sick, you need to have a solution that's mentally based. Similarly, if you have diabetes, you need a solution that's medically based. Right? You need to go to the doctor. You need to take medication. And also at the same time, you need to make dua. You need to do zikir. You need to have faith in Allah. Right? So that's how for a Muslim framework, that's how you heal. Same goes.
Okay.
Do you get that part, or was I cut off?
Can you repeat the last point?
The last point? The last point. What did I say? The last point. Okay. So basically, if you have problems with your mind, you need a solution that is based on the mind. If you have problems with your physical body, you need solutions based on your physical body. If you have problems based on your, basically that's it lah. So the idea here is that to say that somebody has low Iman and therefore mental illness is not fair. It's not fair. You wouldn't say that to somebody who has diabetes. So that's my point lah.
Okay. So
I'm sorry, Nisa. Can we like slowly close this, because my son is over here and it's quite late already.
Okay, so thank you, Sir Azlan, for sharing this knowledge, because I've gained like so much knowledge today from you. Okay, so I hope that all the audience, students can gain more knowledge from our youth mentor too, Aiman. So let us practice a better way of these skills, inshallah.
No worries. My pleasure. Thank you, Nisa, for having me. And I'm so sorry with the internet connection. I don't know what happened. It's just one of those days lah. One of those days it just happened. So thank you very much. I appreciate this.
Thank you so much, Sir Aiman, because it will be, I'm so excited to Instagram live with you. Okay, so thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Okay.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.